Hello. Hello.
mean,
How are you, Abe?
I'm good. I'm good.
Where are you?
Washington, D.C.
Oh, you went to
Yeah.
see the big boss?
Went to see the big boss, but he's not in town. He went to Davos.
I know. He did invite you,
He didn't invite me. He's got enough
Chutzpah,
advisors.
but you
chutzpah
have to
for
give him
him.
$1 billion, right?
Chutzpah for him to leave while you were there. That is
Can you
not
believe
cool.
that? Hello.
So,
Hi.
hey, hey, hey.
Yaakov, where are you?
I'm in Toronto.
Oh,
Oh, you're in the middle of a storm.
What's that?
Are you in the
Not
middle
in
of
the
a
middle of a
storm?
storm. They predict some stow tomorrow. It was I went to shul this morning, it was 6 degrees. It was cold.
Wow. I know they're,
Yeah.
they're forecasting in Washington for
Yeah.
Shabbos and Sunday,
Well,
right?
Shabbos it's supposed to be I think -4 to 7 or 8. Last week there was 12 inches.
Fahrenheit or Celsius?
That's Fahrenheit. I'm only giving you Fahrenheit numbers. I did the conversion. I already did the conversion. So anyway, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. So it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Lenny, we're gone international.
Why, where is Jacob?
In Toronto and Abe is in Washington, D.C.
Do they all have volume 20?
Yep.
No, I don't have
Guys.
volume 20. I'll get it when we're back, which will be in 2 weeks.
Okay. I have
Bezras
volume
Hashem.
20.
Right now, I'm just going without the volume.
Okay. But the volumes are gratis too, because they've sent them to me without
Wonderful.
without a fee.
Wonderful.
Huh.
So that's
Oh, wait, is this yours?
Page 25.
page 25. The volume is Orach Chaim, personal care on Shabbos, animals on Shabbos, and we begin Muktzah. In the last two shiurim of the previous volume, we discussed halachot related to maintenance of the home and outdoor areas on Shabbat. In the first two shiurim of this volume, volume 20, we will address issues related to personal care and hygiene on Shabbat, beginning with washing with water using soap and complications surrounding drying with a towel. Typically, the main halachic issue with bathing on Shabbat involves heating cold water to the point of Yad Soletisbo, which we have learned previously violates the prohibition of Bishul. In order to prevent people from performing this malacha, Chazal forbade washing one's whole body in hot water on Shabbos. So you wouldn't come to heat it up. Although it would be possible to heat the water before Shabbat in preparation for washing on Shabbat, Chazal were concerned that once people would be permitted to wash on Shabbat with water that you heated up before Shabbat, the bathers or the attendants would dishonestly claim that the water was heated earlier when in fact they were heating the water on Shabbos. So a lot of this is a gzeira, to avoid something. The Gemara Masechta Brachas, the Gemara Masechta Shabbos cites that Shabbos Lamed Tesom and Beis cites a baraisa in which the Tanaim debate which restrictions apply to washing on Shabbat. Tanya, lo yishtatef adam kol gufo. You should not sort of pour water over your whole body. Bein b'chamin, bein b'tzonin divrei Meir, whether it's cold water or hot water. According to Rab Meir. Walter and George were on page 25 of the new volume, volume 20.
I know. I need to get it. I have to come and get it. I'll come
Yeah.
by.
Or maybe we'll go out this week.
Yeah, I
If not-
got it. I got it.
No, Walter came and got it up, but we'll get one, George, for you. Reb Shimon Matir. Reb Shimon allowed you to pour water on your whole body, hot or cold. Rav Yudah Omer, there's a third opinion, who said bechamin aser bitzonin mutter. Cold water, yes. Hot water, no. On Rav Chisda. Machlokes the karka. That's where the water, the source of the water is the ground. Aval b'kli divrei kol aser. If the water is being stored in the kli, then everybody agrees that it's prohibited. On Rav Rachana, Rav Yechon Halachic Rav Yehuda, he's the one that said chamin aser tzonein mutter. And hot water is prohibited, to pour water over your whole body. But cold water, yes. According to Gemara, all the Tanoim agree that one may not wash with hot water inside a vessel, even if that water in that vessel was heated before Shabbat. They disagree about washing with hot water collected in the ground. They also disagree regarding cold water. Rashi explains why everyone agrees that a person may not wash in hot water sitting in a vessel. B'kli, daharoa omer hayomuchmu. It's sort of a marasayan. Onlookers who see him bathing in hot water on Shabbos will say that he heated it up on Shabbos. And now, heating up water is a tolda of any kind of heating with fire. And v'asi la'achem b'Shabbos could go noisin tzonin b'chamin. You might come to heat water on Shabbos itself. The Gemara in Masechta Shabbos, in the continuation of the passage, explains the stages which led to the decree of the attendants, according to which it became prohibited to wash even with water heated before Shabbat. Amar Rav Shimon ben Pazir Mershu ben Levi Mishum Bar Kapara. In fact, it was halachically permitted to wash yourself on Shabbos with hot water that was heated before Shabbos. The attendants at the bathhouses started heating up the water on Shabbos. The Omrim, and would tell people, no, Me'erev Shabbos, they've been heated up from Erev Shabbos, when in fact, they were doing it on Shabbos. So therefore, Chachamim, Asra Sachamin, Vitir Sazeya. They prohibited bathing in hot water, but they permitted people going to a bathhouse on Shabbos and sweating, sitting in like a sauna, a sweat room, where you would sweat. But then people would bathe in hot water there. They would falsely claim that we're only sitting in the schwitz, when really they were bathing. So therefore, they prohibited even going to sweat. However, hitiru chamei Tveria. The Chachamim permitted people going to hot springs in Tveria because the water's hot already. Nobody's heating it up. People would still then bathe in hot water heated up by fire. They would tell people, oh, no, this is hot spring water. So then, so they prohibited going to sit in the hot springs. But they permitted you to bathe in cold water. Raush and Adover Omid Lahen. People were violating their restriction of not going to the hot springs. So hitir len chamei Tveria. They went ahead and permitted again to use the hot springs. But the Zeyab and Komos, but they didn't undo the prohibition against schwitzing. So to summarize, the Gemara's restrictions regarding washing in heated water were formed over time gradually, as Chazal pursued an effective way to safeguard the sanctity of Shabbos. Originally, people washed with water that had been permissibly heated before Shabbos. But then bath attendants took advantage of the lenient situation and they heated water on Shabbos itself. So Chazal got rid of the whole permission to bathe in hot water, whether you heated it up before Shabbos or not. When people entered the bathhouse under the pretext of visiting the sauna, but instead they bathed in heated water, Chazal said you can't visit the sauna at all. Then some people continued to bathe in hot water, falsely claiming to bathe in the hot springs of Tveria. Chazal then prohibited bathing even in natural hot springs. The people ignored all of their restrictions. So Chazal got rid of the ban on bathing in the hot springs, but the ban on the sauna remained. So after reviewing how the halacha developed, the Gemara also explains that the Amoraim later debated if a person would be permitted to wash one's whole body one part at a time with water heated before Shabbos. The Gemara concludes that's permitted to wash one's face, hands, and feet, but not the entire body, even one part at a time. Itma. Chamin shuch mu'erev Shabbos.
Ernie, they didn't have any issue with a towel.
We're going to get to the towel, step by step. There's a problem with the towel. So you're noticing that in the permission to bathe in the hot springs, what about the towel? That's what you're asking? Walter?
I'm asking about the towel. And
No, because because the way the Gemara is learning, they gave them a permission to bathe in the hot springs.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay. So you're asking, well, what about the towel problem?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to get there. I don't know why I get so thirsty. Okay. So the Gemara, we're still in the Masechta Shabbos, Mem Amar Itmar. Chamin shehuchmu me'erev Shabbos. Hot water that was heated up with fire, Erev Shabbos. Rav Amar Lamacha rochitz ben kol gufo. Aver. So up until now, the prohibitions that we've been learning is washing your whole body with the hot water, even if it was heated up Erev Shabbos. Now Rav is qualifying the prohibition and saying you're allowed to wash your whole body limb by limb if the water was heated up before Shabbos. Shmuel Amar lo hitir lirchot al apanav yadav Rav. Shmuel says they permitted you to wash your face, your hands, and feet. And the Gemara brings a baraisa like Shmuel. Tani kavos is Shmuel. Chamin sheuch me'erev Shabbos. Water that was heated up from Friday. Lamachar on Shabbos rochitz bayan panav yadav Rav. Avalo kol guf, but not the whole body. Aver, even limb by limb. Ein sarach lomer chamin sheuch me'biyontiv. And certainly, you're not allowed to do it with hot water that was heated on Yontif. The Shulchan Aruch paskins like Rav Yehuda and Shmuel, permitting washing only one's face, hands, and feet with hot water, heated before Shabbos. or washing with cold water. Here we mean your whole body. Asr lichotz kol gufo. Afilu kol aver ve'aver levad. Afilu b'mayim shuch b'merev Shabbos. Bein imhein b'kli, bein imhein b'karka. So the Shulchan Aruch says initially, there's a prohibition to wash your whole body, even limb by limb, even with water heated up from Friday, whether the water is in the ground or whether it's in a kli. We're not talking about you sitting in a bathtub, even pouring it on your body. That's also forbidden. But you can use that water, heated up Erev Shabbos, to wash your face, hands, and feet. Says the Ramah, Oshar Evorim Kol She'ena Rochetz Kol Gufa. The Ramah adds that you can wash other limbs, as long as you're not going to do your whole body. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Hani Mili B'Chamei Ha'or. This halacha we've stated regarding hot water that was heated with fire. Aval B'Chamei Tveria, Mutter Lirchotz Afil Kol Gufa Yachad. Using hot springs water, you can wash even your whole body. Vein Tzarech Loimer B'Tzoynim. You can certainly wash your whole body with cold water. That which they permitted, the Chamei Tveria, that's springs that are in the ground. But if the hot springs has been piped into like a bathtub or a kli, that's prohibited. It's a gzeira. People will see that, they'll think you can heat up water. The Magen Avram writes that it is not only forbidden to wash one's whole body, but also most of one's body. Vuadin rov gufo, the majority. As mentioned above, one may wash one's face, hands, and feet alone with regular hot water, not from hot springs, only if it was heated before Shabbos. The Mishnah Berurah rules that it is forbidden to wash even one's hands with water heated on Shabbat itself. If the water was heated on Shabbos, you can't even wash your hands. The Shmir Shabbos Kol Chaser rules lenient that it is permitted to wash a minority of one's body in hot water that was heated on Shabbat, so long as a person was not involved in the heating of the water. Mayim shehuchmu b'Shabbat, ayidei choma eish, water that was heated on Shabbat with fire, mibli shenasteh behem b'Shabbos kol pulos hachama. No act of heating has been done to them. To go mayim shehem midotam imod yom agabe eish ve'nischamu b'Shabbos. So, for example, you set up water on some fire before Shabbos, and it was heated on Shabbos. Oh, water heated by a solar panel. Oh, im iru b'Shabbos mayim karim b'chanim. Or you mixed cold water with hot water on Shabbos. Kol eila dinam k'mavor le'el. With these types of hot water, you could wash a part of your body. Even limb by limb.
So that means that a giza is okay?
A who?
Giza. You know, at the bottom, you have a underneath your house. What do you have? You have that big water tank.
We'll get there. We'll get there. So, if you put, right now what the Shmir Shabbos Kol Chasa said was, let's say you have a fire, Erev Shabbos, and you put a big tub of water on that fire on Erev Shabbos, and it heats, and it continues heating on Shabbos. You didn't do anything on Shabbos. You can use that hot water. That may not be analogous to what you just asked about, Walter, which is our water heater, maybe a different thing. We'll have to discuss that in a minute, or they're going to get to it. But simply, he's referring to water placed on a fire before Shabbos, and it cooked a little bit Erev Shabbos and continue cooking on Shabbos. That's fine. Or water heated by a solar heater. Or you mixed cold water into hot water on Shabbos. So then it's permitted, according to Shmir Shabbos Gilchasa, to watch part of your body, but not the whole goof. And you can't do it limb by limb. Mutter lechatchila latet mayim karim b'Shabbos kedei lechamimam b'chom hashemesh. You can lechatchila put cold water in, let's say, a pan that's sitting outside, and it's going to get heated up by the sun, and then v'lochotz b'hem chelik min haguf. Then you can wash part of your body with that kind of hot water. Okay. Do the same rules for washing apply on Yom Tov? The Rif cites an anonymous Gaul who wrote that bathing on Shabbat was not forbidden as a true shvut, which is a categorical rabbinic prohibition, but rather as a gzeira, a precautionary prohibition to prevent heating water. Accordingly, it would not apply on Yom Tov when it's permitted to heat water. Le'inin rechitza b'Yom Tov b'chamin shehuchmu me'erev Yom Tov, regarding washing on Yom Tov with hot water that was heated up from Friday, from Erev Yom Tov. Chazinin legaon lekakos of hachi de'ayid amina lo yirchatz adam kol gufo b'Shabbos. A certain Gaon said that the reason why you weren't allowed to wash your whole body on Shabbos with hot water, shehuchmu me'erev Shabbos, dafka b'Shabbos. That prohibition is only on Shabbos. Aval b'Yom Tov shari lirchatz kol gufo b'chamin. On Yom Tov you can wash your whole body with hot water. Shehuchmu me'erev Yom Tov, if it was heated Erev Yom Tov. The lav davar shechayan la mishum shvus. The prohibition is not a shvus, which is a categorical rabbinical prohibition. V'lo mishum rishus, v'lo mishum mitzvah. Because the footnote says there's a Mishnah in Beitza that mentions 3 categories of activity: shvut, reshut, and mitzvah, that are forbidden on Shabbos. But rather it's gezeira. The prohibition that the Rabbanan enacted about washing was a gezeira, not to heat water. And the gezeira was specifically for Shabbos. The chikazh b'Shabbos aval b'Yom Tov. An apparently unrelated ruling in the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch may also help to better understand the more lenient status of the ban on washing in hot water on Shabbat. The Rambam and Shulchan Aruch permit the case of a shvut to shvut, in which a Jew may ask a Gentile to violate a rabbinic prohibition on Shabbos for the benefit of someone who is unwell, in case of great need, or to facilitate a mitzvah. Thus, the Shulchan Aruch writes that a person may ask a Gentile to carry water across a space in which carrying is forbidden midrabanan, for the purpose of washing someone who is particularly uncomfortable. The prohibition of carrying without an erev is only midrabanan. And Amir La'akum is only Rabban. So you have a double shvus. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Dover Sheina Malacha, something that's not a forbidden Malacha, Ve'eno asur lasot b'Shabbos el mishum shvus. The only prohibition of doing it on Shabbos was the rabbis prohibited it. Mutar liyisrael lomar le'ena Yehudi lasos b'Shabbos. A Jew is allowed to ask a non-Jew to do that for him, as long as mixes choili, you're doing it for somebody who's sick. Or yet tzarach l'davar tzarach harbi. There has to be a need. Ol mipnei mitzvah ketza. Omer yisrael le'ena Yehudi b'Shabbos. Let's say there's some mitzvah to blow shofar. Let's say Rosh Hashanah. So you're normally not allowed to climb a tree on Shabbos or Yom Tov. So you're not allowed to climb a tree on Yom Tov, but that's only min Rabbana. But now, and the shofar is in the tree. So you're allowed to tell the non-Jew, climb the tree, get the shofar, because why? You need a mitzvah. Oh, you have a courtyard that would need an A-roof otherwise, but it doesn't have an A-roof. But someone doesn't feel well. Not choili. Even mitztayr. Mitztayr means he's uncomfortable. However, yesh oisrin. In his commentary on the Shulchan Aruch, Rav Akiva Eger informs from here that in such a case, not only may one ask a Gentile to violate a rabbinic prohibition on Shabbos, but the one who is uncomfortable may also be lenient to wash with the hot water brought by the Gentile. Normally, being uncomfortable is not sufficient grounds for permitting an action which is otherwise forbidden mirabanan. Why is this different? Rabbi Akiva Eger deduces that washing is actually slightly less severe than other prohibitions. It's only, as we've said, a precautionary prohibition, as the Rif stated. Thus, there is room for more leniency. Says Rabbi Akiva Eger, Mashma de mitzvah muter lechotz. Someone who's in the category of not chol sheyesh b'sakana, not chol she'ein b'sakana, but a mitzvah. He's uncomfortable. He can what? Muter lechotz afilu gufo b'chayv his whole body with hot water. She'uchmu erev Shabbos, that was heated up erev Shabbos. V'kil yoser mishar shvusim. We see washing in hot water is a more lenient prohibition. Kiven shurak mikol zera. Moshe Arif, Perek Beis debates. The Bir Halacha, the Mishnah Berurah agrees with Rabbi Akiva Eger. Mitztayr afal pishen choyli kol haguf yesh loymar the muter lirchos. He can wash. Using hot water bottles on Shabbos. Amid the discussion of washing in hot water on Shabbos, the Shulchan Aruch writes, based on a passage in Masechta Shabbos, that it is forbidden to rest a hot water bottle upon one's body for therapeutic purposes due to the danger of skin burns. Also, you can't put a kli with hot water on your body. Even during weekday, it's dangerous. Says the Ramah, you can heat up like a washcloth, the lidno bitno, and put it on his stomach. The Mishnah Berurah explains that although the primary concern here is the halachic insistence on safety, there are additional considerations on Shabbos, when it's forbidden to wash in hot water, as well as to make use of like medicines and remedies. However, in the case of a bottle which is sealed, there may be room for leniency. Says the Mishnah, we don't want to use a hot water bottle, maybe it'll dump on him. He's washing. Liza im achamin bikli sogur shekorim varm flash right? A hot water bottle. Shari. Aval Pesha Toisvus, Tatami Shum de Minka Shul Refuah, according to Toisvus, that says people see that it's for Refuah, Gzeira, Mishum Shchika Samamonim, you're going to come like to grind spices, Gam Bezeh Aser, Korban Nesanel. However, L'tzarach Gadol Yesh La'akil. The Mishra ends up that for a strong need, you can be lean. Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach writes that today it has become more common to use a hot water bottle even when someone is not feeling well. Accordingly, it would be easier to omit using a bottle under certain circumstances. Today, even healthy people use a hot water bottle. To maybe heat the bed up. Because of Agoyin Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, shemuter lishtamish bo bizman hakor. You could use it in wintertime, kishu soger, if its water bottle is closed. Gam kishachash mevitno, if you have a stomach ache, kivin nikar shosakin. It's not that obvious that you're doing it for medical purposes. So it is permitted, if the water is heated before Shabbat, to wash either face, hands, and feet or one limb, but not your whole body. The Shmir Shabbos Hilchos says, if someone did not actively heat the water on Shabbos, it's permitted to wash one limb or face, hands, and feet. So the question is, when you turn on a hot water, the hot water heater, I think, is turning on and is heating the water.
Not immediately. The tank has hot water. The problem is the moment it drops the level, the next water that comes in needs to be heated, but it's not instantaneous.
I know, but you're the cause of it. So you're the cause of it. We said, it's clear that if you put water on a fire from Erev Shabbos and then heat it up and you didn't do anything else to it, you're allowed to use that kind of water. Like, you could certainly use the water in our hot water urns for this washing. That was heated up from Erev Shabbos, was heated already Erev Shabbos, continued to heat. You didn't do anything. So that there's no question. Then the water heated by a solar heater, because that's happening memela. I noticed that they don't comment regarding our modern, appliances. Doron Podloshek is going to be here in a week. I'm going to tell him that it was I don't see that they deal with it. Now, we're going to learn on page 70. On page 60, this is one of these times we're going to learn this a little bit more detail about whether it's permitted to shower on Yom Tov or not. Okay? Let's continue with the washing in cold water. 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, could you get it, Susie? Get the cord, because it's gonna go bad. I charged it before. Yes, please. No, I'm good.
Is it upstairs?
It's right in there, Susan. Right, it's in there. The white thing is in there. Oh no, it's in. Open up the zipper, Susan. No, not there. There's a zipper there. No, in there. No, in there's it. In that thing, there's a zipper there. There you go. Thank you. So far, we have seen that the sources discussing washing on Shabbos focus mainly on the concerns with using hot water. Chazal generally took it for granted that it is permitted for a person to dip or wash in cold water, such as in a river to rinse off mud or dirt, or to cool off on a hot day. However, even though washing in cold water ostensibly involves no concern whatsoever of heating or encouraging people to heat water on Shabbat, there are nonetheless other potential concerns of performing Malach on Shabbos. Thus, the Shulchan Aruch writes that if someone bathes in a river, it is necessary to dry off completely before walking away so as not to carry water on Shabbat in a public area. The Shulchan Aruch says, "Harochetz ben nahar, tzarach she'enagev gufo yafa kishe'olam minar." You have to towel your body dry well when you come out of the river. Otherwise, there'll be water on him. And you will carry daladamas in a carmelis, which is forbidden rabbinically. Somebody who comes out of a river has a lot of water on him. If you're walking in Rishus Harabim, mumoter sorchev al rosho, and rain is pouring on his head, valavusha loik pidubo. So that is not a problem. The Shulchan Aruch is concerned about the issue of carrying water from the river. But if one dries correctly, the Shulchan Aruch follows the Gemara and allows bathing in the river. However, some Rishonim and Achronim, including the Trumas Hadeshen, write that the custom has changed. And in medieval times, it was no longer customary to wash even in cold water on Shabbos. The minhag is not to wash your body at all, even with cold water. Even though there's no apparent prohibition. The custom is to stay away from it. The Mishnah Berurah follows the Trumas Hadeshen due to several concerns, including the possibility that a person is likely to squeeze your hair dry. You're not supposed to go into a river or a mikveh at all. You're going to come to squeeze your hair. Your hands and your feet you can wash in the river. But he has to get the water off of his body. Otherwise, he's going to violate carrying. Many contemporary poskim confirm that the custom is to refrain from washing even in cold water. The Shmir Shabbos Kilchaza writes that this generally applies to Yontiv as well. However, he rules that it is permitted to wash places in the body which are not covered in hair, and even shower in cases where excessive heat makes one very uncomfortable. First, he says the minhag is not to wash your whole body on Shabbos or Yontif, even with cold water. You can wash parts of your body that are not covered with hair. These parts you can wash with cold water. Lukewarm. That were heated up already Friday or Erev Yontif. Where it doesn't feel hot. If you're very uncomfortable. Kigon biyom sharab. It's a blistering hot day. Mutar aflit lakech b'mayim ka'ele karagil b'mot hachol. You can shower either in cold water or lukewarm water as you would on a weekday. As long as you don't squeeze your hair out. Rav Moshe Feinstein rules that Ashkenazim may be lenient in situations of particular discomfort. Minag minotenu shel hilchos b'Shabbos afilu b'tzoni. Rav Moshe was asked that in their place it was a minhag not to wash on Shabbos even in cold water. Ha'im ein lislakech b'tzonin gam b'yom. What if it's a very hot day? He says, below tsar yesh la'achmir. If you're not uncomfortable, you should be stringent. Av shalom etzinu b'sifra b'seinu minhag zeh. He never found a custom to be stringent. You could be permitted to be lenient. A number of Sephardic poskim, including the Or L'Tzion and the Kaf HaChaim, permit bathing on Shabbos based on the lenient approach of the Shulchan Aruch. However, the Yalkut Yosef writes that today even Sephardim refrain from bathing in cold water because of the many potential pitfalls involved. However, he writes that Sephardim never adopted the stringency regarding showering, and accordingly he permits showering in cold water, provided one is careful not to wring out one's hair. You can shower on Shabbos with cold water. Don't wring out the towel, your hair, and don't wring out the towel. You should wait a little time before drying with the towel, that the water should evaporate by itself. You should dry very gently. Don't squeeze out the hair in your hair and in your beard. The Ashkenazim don't bathe in cold water, even from a river. They don't allow to bathe or to shower. They're very uncomfortable because of heat. From sweating. You can take a Shabbos with cold water. You have to be careful not to squeeze out your hair and not the towel. Rav Eliezer Melamed writes that even Sephardim should not use a swimming pool on Shabbos. This is certainly true if one actually swims, but one should not even enter the pool, since one may come to squeeze water from one's bathing suit. What's more, swimming today is a type of recreative activity. It may fall under the rubric of uvtat and chol that are generally forbidden on Shabbos. The next section is immersing in a mikvah, which is a bit long to get started, so I'm going to stop here today. I want people to get the volume 20 before we go too far.
Good.
Any questions, comments, ha'aros of any type? No. Okay, guys.
Good night.
Next
Thank you.
week,
You will.
same time, same station, 8 o'clock Tuesday night.
Okay.
Prayer.
Thank you.
Prayer.